about that because it's a bit too loud.
Can't believe you had mini eggs and didn't leave any for me.
Should have been there earlier, Will.
You've had a whole packet of mini eggs.
To be fair, I handed half of them out upstairs.
Good God.
Alright, ready, Mark? 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'm good. Thumbs up when you want me.
Right, I'm going to start playing the thing.
Hit the sting in
2, 1.
now.
Good afternoon, this is Solent Sports News. My name is Mark Francis. The Premier League is back this weekend and Jacob Potter has joined us in the studio to look ahead to Southampton's next game. Jacob, who are the Saints facing on Sunday?
So Liverpool travel to Southampton this weekend as the Reds look for all 3 points and possibly a couple of the Saints players to add to their growing collection of players bought from the club. One of the most recent players to swap St Mary's for Anfield is Liverpool's £75 million record signing Virgil van Dijk. The Dutch defender is expected to be fit to face his former club, and Southampton midfielder James Ward-Prowse remains fully focused on getting points with Saints and not on friendships with former teammates.
People move on, and that's fair enough for him. It was a decision made by the club, and that's his career path. But for us, we have to make sure that we do everything we can to win the game because we are in a tough situation, and we need the points to climb up the table.
On to team news now, and Ragnar Klavan and former Southampton midfielder Adam Lallana are expected to return for Jurgen Klopp's side, but Joe Gomez is ruled out with a knee injury that has kept him out for the last couple of weeks. Whilst Jack Stevens has certainly stepped up for Southampton since Van Dijk's departure, netting 3 goals in as many games, and he'll be looking to carry on that form. Charlie Austin remains the only absentee for the home side with a torn hamstring. Jurgen Klopp will be hopeful of an improvement against Southampton, having only won 2 of his last 9 games against the Saints. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much indeed, Jacob. A Premier League striker is at the centre of a racial attack scandal. West Brom and former Saints striker Jay Rodriguez has been charged by the FA after allegedly racially abusing Brighton defender Guyton Bong. Rodriguez has released a statement maintaining his innocence and is said to be in disbelief after being charged. West Brom have come out in support of the forward, who has been in impressive form of late. Northern Ireland have extended the contract of their manager Michael O'Neill. The 48-year-old signed a new contract until 2024, having recently turned down the vacant Scotland job. He led Northern Ireland to the last 16 stage of Euro 2016 and came agonisingly close to taking his side to this year's World Cup. O'Neill says he has unfinished business with his country, and we're joined by Steve McKenna to tell us more of an insight into the importance of Michael O'Neill and Northern Ireland. So Steve, how vital for Northern Ireland is it that Michael O'Neill has remained in charge?
They're very well coached from him. They set up against certain teams, they know what they're doing, they look really well drilled, and they don't seem to drop points, especially against weaker teams than themselves, and their home form and away form have been really consistent.
Thanks very much indeed, Steve. One of Britain's medal hopefuls has been ruled out of the Winter Olympics through injury. Katie Omerod was due to compete in her first Winter Olympics, but suffered a fractured heel during training. Dame Catherine Granger, who is the UK Sport Chair, remains optimistic that Omerod will make a full recovery and compete at the top level of snowboarding.
Only in time that it sinks in what you might have missed out on. But the great thing is she's at a young enough age that she's got a long career still ahead of her. Every disappointed, and as you mentioned, the many lows of my career. You don't wish them on anyone, but they can, if you handle them right, make you a better athlete because of it.
To rugby union, England face Wales at a mouth-watering tie at Twickenham tomorrow, with many dubbing the winner of this match as the overall winner of the Six Nations. Following a 34-7 demolition of Scotland at the Millennium Stadium last weekend, Wales will have a new sense of confidence despite being lumbered with 13 injuries. England, who put on a great display in Rome to beat Italy 46-15, have never lost at home under head coach Eddie Jones and are looking to replicate last year's Grand Slam. We sat down with Welsh legend Shane Williams, who was selected 3 times for the British and Irish Lions, to find out his thoughts before the biggest matchup of the weekend.
If I had to pick one player from each side, that's going to be dangerous on the weekend, it'd be Watson for England. Been playing particularly well in the Viva Premiership. Scored 2 tries on the weekend, looking very dangerous. And Stephen Evans for Wales, his work rate is phenomenal. He scored as well on the weekend. Goes looking for to get his hands on that ball as often as he can, and we'll be wanting that as Welsh people on the weekend. both teams are very blessed that there's a lot of good young players coming through that'll probably be putting their hands up for the next World Cup. Whoever wins on the weekend will probably go on and win the Six Nations. England at home, at Twickenham, at their home, is always very tough. But if Wales can go there and win, you know, your confidence goes through the roof.
It was a night of shocks in Cardiff as round 2 of the Premier League darts action got underway. World number 1 Michael van Gerwen suffered a surprise 7-5 defeat to Peter Wright, whilst PDC world champion Rob Cross suffered his second successive defeat as he was thrashed 7-1 by Simon Whitlock. Elsewhere, Raymond van Barneveld moved into contention with a hard-fought 7-5 win over Menzior Sulovic. And finally,
Simply playing for places, it is Altior, last year's Supreme winner. It's going to give Nicky Henderson a 6th win in the Arkle, and it is Altior who wins.
last year's star novice chaser returns to the track on Saturday. Altior is back and will face just 2 rivals in his seasonal debut at Newbury. His trainer Nicky Henderson admits he is at his most vulnerable of a first defeat over jumps, following a procedure to improve his breathing. Should all go well, all systems are go for the champion chase at the Cheltenham Festival next month. That's all from us now. I'll be back in an hour. Remember, you can keep up to date on our website, solentjournalism.co.uk.